Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the January 2025 meeting of the Media Ed Club of the Media Education Lab. My name is Wes Fryer, and I am a middle school classroom teacher here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I am so excited to be joined by a number of folks from across the country. We've got some folks in Canada and folks from the Northeast and the Midwest. I don't know if we've got any Californians and West Coasters. But today's session for January 6th is called BlueSky Educational Networking. And so the plan for today is to go ahead and do a little bit of a check-in as we started here before the recording. If you would just tell everybody what you do. What is your role? How do you have a connection to media literacy? And then if you're willing, go ahead and share a little bit about the social media platforms that you regularly use now. And I say regularly because more than likely we've got some early adapter innovator folks in the room who are trying out a lot of things. But what do you find yourself, let's say, on a weekly basis going to and using? What I'd like to do today is basically break this into three parts, and I'd like to do a little demo for you with BlueSky, and then let us go into breakout rooms. So right now we've got about 10 of us or 9 of us in the room, and so we may just end up going into 2 breakout rooms. I want to have probably 4 or 5 people in the breakout rooms. But I'm going to give you some tasks that I want to encourage you to do in BlueSky. And then I'm going to give you some discussion questions that you can talk about. So I really think that webinars like this, like the Media Education Club, and then the other events that are hosted by the Media Education Lab are just fantastic opportunities for us to connect with other educators interested in media literacy and, possibly doing things that are of interest to us. There's just a whole wide gamut of things that we're doing in the media education space. And then we're going to come back for the last 15 minutes and do some breakout room sharing. So unfortunately, then this is true always for me. I have a hard stop because at the top of the hour, I have a class of students that come in. So we have dropped the link into the chat, and you can go to a shortened link that I have, which is just wfryer. And this is basically what we're going to do in the breakout room. So I'm going to give you a little advanced notice. If you have not created a BlueSky account, probably no surprise, I'm going to encourage you to do that. And so you're welcome to go ahead and multitask and do that if you haven't created one. But I'm going to talk about joining what's called the EduSky community that Alice Keeler moderates. And then I've created a form for us with the Media Education Lab to go ahead and share our channels and network. And I'm going to talk about starter packs and lists and things like that. And so I'll be sharing whatever name you want to share, which doesn't have to be your real name. Some people have good reasons for being anonymous. But I'm going to go ahead and share whatever name you want to share, and then I'll also share your channel. So that's a link. And then I've got a couple questions that we can ask about, or that we can talk about and discuss. So what I'm going to do now is go to this link. This is an interactive notes document, and this is just in reverse chronological order from last October. And so you can go ahead and link to our slides. And then if you want to link to that EduSky community link or the form that we're going to have, you can go ahead and do that here. And we've got our required media and our optional media as well. And so I'd like to just kind of start with a demo. The podcast that we recommended that everyone check out and take a look at is this one that is from Class Tech Tips from Monica Burns, and it features an interview with Alice Keeler. I really like this model for webinars of having some required media to ask everybody to try to listen to, read, watch, and then some optional things. And so in the chat, if you want to put in, and by the way, if you want, can you all turn on your cameras? I don't know. It looks like I need to check my settings here and see if I've got my my sharing set up. This is where it's fun to do this by yourself. Let me know in the chat if you're able to turn on. Yeah, well, I think maybe it's just that I'm not seeing that view right now. We've got people that have their cameras on. Anyway, if you'd like to share any thoughts about that interview, the infographic I want to go ahead and go to before I do the demo. And so this is a demo by Tony Vincent, and Tony is an absolutely fantastic educator. He has a blog and a newsletter called Learning in Hand. And so if you go to learninginhand.com/bluesky, this is where he has the entire post. And I have been following Tony for a long, long time. He calls it the butterfly effect. As he says in this post, the level of interaction that we've seen with educators specifically in the last few months, really, especially since the November 2024 election in the United States, has been tremendous. And so he does explain a couple things about setting up your account. Unlike Mastodon, which I do love, and I really think federated, social media is really good. You don't have to make a decision when you register for a new BlueSky account. So if I open up a incognito window here and I just go to bsky.app, I can go ahead and click sign up, and I can go ahead and sign right up and create my account. And if you haven't created a BlueSky account, I do encourage you to go ahead and do that. Use this time that we are together as a catalyst for you to go ahead and create that. It also indicates that the usernames are including a domain name. So he just made his account to use the BlueSky domain. And so his account there is tonyvincent.bskybluesky.social. The fancy way, if you want to create your BlueSky account is if you own your own, like I own westfryer.com, you can actually make your BlueSky account be your domain address. And so Alice Keeler's another person who's done this. So if you go to bluesky.app, alicekeeler.com, boom, here's Alice. Alice Keeler is the foremost educational networker and collaborator on BlueSky that I know of. And part of what I'm excited to share with you are some resources that she has created that can really facilitate finding other teachers and other media literacy advocates here on BlueSky. And so anyway, Tony talks about how BlueSky has a decentralized model. All the posts are public. You can't have a private account. Like Twitter, which many of us are very familiar with, and I prefer to still call it Twitter rather than X. You can like, you can reply, you can repost, you can quote. Unlike the 240 character limit of Twitter, unless you pay, there's a 300 character limit. But you can include links, emojis, URLs, GIFs, and videos. When you put in an image, it's a good idea to put in your alt text, and it's great to use hashtags. So EduSky is the main hashtag that Alice Keeler is recommending that people use. And so if you search this, you can find a lot of educators using that EduSky hashtag. You can also use some hashtags like media literacy. And so anybody who is writing about media literacy can use that hashtag. And of course, whenever we have hashtags, it's a little bit wild because we don't know exactly, what people are going to share with, Twitter. We've certainly seen as it's been a dumpster fire, hashtags, sometimes even for conferences get hijacked. I like to use the hashtag media lit, just a little bit, shorter there. And so you can see right now, the top media lit hashtag post was one I shared, I think, on Friday. And I said, I followed all the users in this gaming and education starter pack. And so there are a few other people who are using that media lit abbreviated hashtag. And so well, finding your hashtags and the hashtags that your community is using can be a really outstanding, again, way to find other educators. I'm going to do a couple more demos here inside my Chrome web browser, and then I'm going to switch over to my app because I've updated to the latest version of the Mac OS operating system with Sequoia, and this iPhone mirroring I think is actually going to work out okay because I usually am on my phone when I'm using BlueSky. But let me talk here about starter packs. So here's a link where I said, hey, I just followed all the users in this gaming and education starter pack, and I linked to the person. And so this person is called EduGamer Gal. Notice that in addition to having a profile picture and a banner image here at the top, she's put some information about herself, indicating that she is an educator. She's also got some hashtags that she likes to use. And then she has a bunch of things here that well, that are publicly shared that you can see. So you can see her posts, you can see replies that she's made, media that she has shared, you can see feeds that she's subscribed to. And I actually am not using that a lot, but this is another feature of BlueSky that is powerful, is the ability to be able to create these shared feeds. But she does have a starter pack. And I do as well. I have a starter pack for media literacy, but I found this starter pack that she had created for games and education. And so you can see that all of these people have a check mark because I went ahead and clicked this button, follow all. And starter packs are one of the things about BlueSky that I think has really helped amplify and speed up its diffusion within the educational community. I haven't followed this one, EduStreamers, and so I'll click on that. You can see that there's a number of these people who I have not chosen to follow. But when you are on BlueSky and you're making a decision, do I want to follow this person or not? I recommend visiting their profile, looking to see that it's a complete profile, checking out some of the kinds of things that they have posted. I just, don't flag people who are, using profanity or, sharing things that have absolutely nothing to do with my interests. I'm primarily using BlueSky for professional media literacy, STEM teaching, education, but I also love to cook and some other things. But check out the profile and then think about that too as you decide what you're going to share in your profile. So I don't know Miles Harvey, but he's a middle school teacher and an adjunct literacy professor. Looks like he's sharing some interesting stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and follow him. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do with Miles, and I can do this on my phone as well, is I'm going to click the three dots here beside his profile, and I'm going to choose to add him to my media literacy list. One of the best ways to use social media platforms like BlueSky or Mastodon, just like we could use with Twitter, and I'm back on Twitter now. I took a year off, and I need to write a post about why I've gone back on, but I'm not on there a ton. Lists have been a huge part of my journey as a learner and a educational networker. And so I'm going to go ahead because Miles is a media literacy advocate, and I'm going to add him to my media literacy list. Now, if you haven't created a list yet, you can go ahead and do that. But what that allows others to do is see those lists. And so I'm going to now open up my profile here in an incognito window. So I am not signed in. This is interesting. Okay. So you can't see my list. I was thinking that you could, but you can see my starter packs that I've created. And so one thing which you could do if you wanted to today, I'm going to be adding those of you that share your BlueSky information, I'm going to add you to this list. There's a limit to how many, I think it's like 200, or I don't remember exactly how many. And anyway, so here's Renee DiResta. We talked about her book, Invisible Rulers, during our November 2024 meetup. There's Renee Hobbs, the founder of the Media Education Lab. Here's the Media Education Lab. There's Vicki Davis. There's, Jason Neiffer, who I do my podcasts with on Wednesday nights. So this is really a great way to jump into a topic like media literacy, when you find someone who's an advocate and they've created a starter list, wow, it can really make it can make it quick to be able to follow all those. So Edward is asking if there's a TweetDeck-like app for BlueSky. And what you can do, Edward, is pin. I don't know. I don't think there is. I'm not aware of it, but you can pin lists that you have and feeds and things like that, so that you can readily access those within your channel. Please go ahead and throw other questions that you all have into the chat. And I'm going to talk here for another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll go ahead and go to our breakout rooms. So what I'm going to do now is get on my phone, and I have connected my phone here through the screen mirroring app. These are different social media apps that I am using. And so I'm going to just kind of talk through a little bit how I am using the BlueSky app on my phone, because this is the primary way that I am using BlueSky. So once you've created your account, you've signed in on the app, I definitely recommend turning on the two-step verification to maintain security and all that good stuff. Here you are on BlueSky. How do I find other educators on BlueSky? Well, just like we were doing in the web version, you can put in a hashtag like media literacy, and you can go ahead and see what the top posts are, what the latest posts are, and then also the people, who are using that particular hashtag. And you can see I've actually followed a number of those people. This is interesting. Here's a group that I don't currently follow. It's called the Central European Digital Media Observatory. So I'm going to, again, view their profile, see what they're up to. I'm going to go ahead and it looks like 18 days. I also checked like how active they are. If sometimes people just set up an account and they don't continue to post. So they haven't posted here in a couple weeks. But this definitely looks like a good, media literacy focus group. So I'm going to click follow. And then I'm also going to, again, click on the three dots, and I'm going to add it to a list. And so with Twitter, lists where you could make lists public. I don't think that you can make lists public here on EduSky, but they're really valuable to be able to use, and I'll show you why. So when I'm here on my home feed, you can see here at the top, I can go ahead and view a feed of the accounts that I'm following. So this is a chronological feed, which, by the way, does not have advertisements in it. And that could change at some point, but that is just so huge. Facebook for me almost seems to have become a constant stream of advertisements. I still use it. I'm actually paying for Facebook Verified or whatever now, because I lost my account for a while and it was very traumatic, and I don't want to lose it again. It was actually something I'd posted like 10 years ago. They got flagged, and I need to write a blog post about that experience, but it was very negative and I don't want to lose it. So anyway, there is a discover tab. And so they're going to make suggestions for things that you might want to follow that either are just popular on the platform, or, there's some kind of an algorithm that they've written here that they think, will help you discover engaging content. But this is great. This is called Popular with Friends. And this reminds me of a great app that I loved called Nuzzle, which eventually died. And it was this, let me see what the people I follow are reading and are liking and are sharing. So that is excellent. And, I've been following a lot of different stuff. It's not all about media literacy. So you're going to see a whole mix of things there and Popular with Friends. Here's where the lists are. So I have pinned lists, including my Yoda's list, there's my astronomy list, and here's my media literacy list, and it'll refresh when I pull it down here. And so this is a just fantastic way to be able to see a filtered feed of content from people that, are posting, who share something in common that you've made a list for. And so here's my journalists list. So in this way, I was able to read a recent article that Anne Applebaum, if you don't follow Anne, she is a fantastic author, and I've not read her latest book, but Autocracy Inc. But anyway, lists are a great way to intersect with content. Let me go down here to the bell, because you can see that there's a little 7. And that means that I've had some interaction around posts, or I've had some people follow me. And just like Twitter, you can take a look at that. So a few folks have followed me, and what I like to do usually is I will scan some of these. If somebody has not put a profile picture on, I generally don't follow them. Uh, even just with the name of some of these, I'm not going to do this on the recording. I'm not going to click on that, but I will block some of those people. Um, this person does not appear to be anybody. I don't necessarily need to block them, but um, this is why the profile is so important, because if you haven't posted, if you don't have anything in the profile, I mean, I don't know that you're sharing anything that I have of interest. And there are bots. In fact, we're going to do a session next month in February all about chat bots. And so, it's the Wild West of social media. But here I can see some people that liked some posts that I had shared in the past. In some cases, sometimes, people are going to comment back. I found this podcast, Radical Roots, over the weekend. And so I had, written to them, they wrote back, and you can see those kind of things. And again, you can choose to check them out and read things about them and decide, if you want to follow them and what you would like to do. So what I would like to do now is go ahead and just show you the tasks for the breakout room time, and then I'm going to put us into breakout rooms. And then I think we'll just probably go into two breakout rooms. There won't be too many of us in each one. And here's what I want to encourage you to do in your breakout room. First off, I'd like you to appoint a screen sharer, and I'll go into the permissions and make sure, because I think last webinar, I don't know if we gave that permission. So I'll grant permission for everyone to share their screen. So if you'll have somebody share their screen, uh, that would be great. And then the main things I'd encourage you to do, and I'm going to give you about 15 minutes for this, is help everybody in the room create a BlueSky account if they haven't, if they want to. If you don't want to, don't. But if you're interested, it's free, and you're here at this educational networking with BlueSky session, the best way to learn about it is to use it. So create an account. And then I have two different links to join the Edge of Sky community, and then to also share your BlueSky channel here with me. And I'm going to add your addresses here to the starter pack that I have, just to amplify our channels and be able to improve our networking. You're also invited to use these as discussion questions if you want to. Introduce yourself, get to know each other in your room. But how has your use of social media changed in the last year? And then are there some features of BlueSky that you like? And if you will nominate a spokesperson, I don't know, we're a small group. Sometimes we've had 20 or 30 folks here, and it's a little bit larger. So I'd like some people to share some things out of our breakout rooms, but we'll probably be a little less formal when we come back. So the link again to get to all of this, I'll go ahead and drop into our chat again. And so this is to our collaborative document. If you want to type any notes here at the bottom of our section for today, you're welcome to do that. I'll leave this, of course, shared so anybody can view it, but right now you can actually, put some things in there if you'd like. But here are the links at the top to our tasks. And so when you click this link to join the Edge of Sky community, this is a post from a channel called the Edge of Sky team that Alice Keeler has started. And you might want to follow that particular channel. She has 3 links to check out the list, join the list, and then pin the feed. And so when you check out the list, this is a huge, huge list of educators that are on BlueSky. And so you can get some welcome information and suggestions about what to do. These are feeds that different people have created. For instance, there's one about physics. So if you're into physics, here's a teach physics feed, and I could go ahead and choose to pin that, and then I'm going to be able to see that really readily on my account, when I'm logged into BlueSky. This is what you're going to be submitting your name into, and this one is locked. These are sorted, but here's all these different folks. And so the way that you're going to submit that is you're going to click the second link, which says join the feed. So this is a Google form. You're going to add whatever name you want shared publicly, and that doesn't have to be your public, whatever name you want to share, your profile link. And then she asks, convince me you're an, tell me about your title and role, and then link to a blue post where you used the Edge of Sky hashtag. Okay, so I'd love for you to fill that out and join the community. She's got some instructions, or I guess the link of how to pin this feed. So this is a feed of posts by folks that are using Edge of Sky. Welcome to Scott Moss, who's joined us. Scott, I think we're just going to have 2 breakout rooms. So if you want to set those up, let's see, I think I have to make you a co-host. But we're not gonna, it won't be too challenging today since we don't have quite as many as we have in the past. And so that's the form that Alice has. The form that I have created for us, you literally you could simply put your account into our chat, and I'm going to capture the chat and I can get your BlueSky profile that way. But if you go ahead and fill this out, I have followed the same sort of format that Alice has, except I'm encouraging you to use the hashtag MediaEdLab. And I was visiting with Yanti Friesen, who's one of the co-directors of the lab yesterday, and we decided that looks like a good hashtag across social media to be able to use. So if you'll fill out both of those, that'll give us an opportunity to further network and connect. And I think that is all that I wanted to say before turning you loose in the breakout rooms. And so I don't know. I guess we'll still try for 2 breakout rooms. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead, 2 breakout rooms, assign automatically, and I'm going to go ahead and create those. And so go ahead and create those, and then I'm going to open those up. So it looks like we're just going to have, I don't know, we'll give this a shot, and then we'll bring everybody together. So I'm going to give you about 15 minutes in the breakout rooms, and then we'll bring everybody back together. Let me unmute myself. At least that popped up. Welcome back, everyone. I was debating whether to even do breakout rooms because we're a smaller group, but it's nice to have conversations that aren't recorded, right? And so I hope you all had a good conversation in another breakout room because I didn't make it out of the first one. But why don't we just open it? We have about 10 more minutes and, well, 15, I guess. I'd love just to hear some of what you all talked about and some of the things that came up, and Cynthia had some great questions I had neglected to share. So anyway, I'll say a couple things and then let's just hear from other people. BlueSky spun out of Twitter. It was created, as I understand it, to try and avoid some of the pitfalls of Twitter, especially in terms of algorithmic feeds and moderation. I was marveling this morning, and I told this story that, Elon had multiple posts that were just, at the top of my feed, and it just boggles my mind, and then probably others too, that somebody has chosen to spend billions of dollars and then buy this platform that for years of my life was such an important way that I got information, and for people all over the world, right? And it still is. It's still an important platform. But anyway, BlueSky is not perfect. We don't know what will happen to it, but according to the Wikipedia article, it is a privately owned for-profit corporation. And it's really spun up in terms of the numbers of people, and we have issues that happen when lots and lots of people will join a platform. But anyway, I've talked far too much. So who would like to share just something that kind of came out of the breakout room, or if anybody wants to ask a question, let's just open the floor.
Diane brought up something I thought was really interesting. As far as kind of personally, a lot of us are maybe moving a little kind of anti-tech, but most of us have roles where in the past we promoted technology, check out this tool and use it this way. But we kind of had a discussion about now maybe let's be more thoughtful about, is this, depending on our goals and what we're doing, is this an area for tech or is it not? And maybe even kind of moving away from tech in some areas.
Yeah.
And go ahead and add and help me out there, Diane. Or
No, no, no. The need
Oh,
to be critical is essential. No, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, I mean, I've been following, working with Renee and did the whole thing at, the first Summer Institute and sort of in and out of that community. Um, and so, but ed tech is not like, I mean, I have expertise because I know more than most of the other people around me, but I'm not like a lot of you here. But I just wondered like I'm teaching the grad course again, which is the introductory, integrated tech across the curriculum. And I know I've worked with a couple of colleagues and they're just basically teaching the tools and how do we teach math better with that tool. Or now everybody is so immersed in AI and I am so not in favor of how AI is being crammed down our throats because of environmental concerns. It's not the moment. I've read some articles on how much water and energy are being used and how it's now literally impacting the communities around these data centers, the quality of their electricity, wearing out appliances faster, higher prices, not to mention the fact, is there even any water in that? So all of those areas, I'm setting out to teach this course and I don't want to teach it.
The
You know?
latest This Week in Tech podcast said that it's changing the frequency from 60 hertz to lower, and that can fry your appliances.
Yeah.
And then, it's just
But
there's
I, but what I was going to say that I learned from Renee and Yanti and Julie and all the people around, and probably you too, Wes, I've seen you over the years, is that our role, I mean, we're tech people in how to use it to enhance teaching and learning. But in the beginning, the whole concern was the rapid pace of development and that we can't keep up with our students and all these new literacies, et cetera. But what Renee has always brought us back and said, but our role is the critical piece because anybody can turn on the tech and use it. But our role is the critical piece. And maybe the not answer, but direction is that we really have to emphasize that in our teaching, that's our
absolutely.
role.
Yeah. Yeah.
But first you have to understand what's going on to even, do you know what I'm saying? I can't even keep up with it all.
Well,
You
what I
know,
would say about BlueSky is that one of the things I think is going to endure is how do we discover new ideas and how do we get to hang out with other people who are interested in things that we are interested in, including professional passions, but it could be hobbies and stuff too, right? Like I love to cook, so I'm interested in recipes and food and stuff. But I think that's an enduring need that we have. And when I was working on my dissertation at North, and I was teaching at North Texas, but I was at Texas Tech. I mean, I remember being in the library in microfiche, and there was like some, there was a document, and it was going to cost 10 cents, and it was just crazy to get these prints. And then I was like, "Can I get a PDF of that?" And I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, how much is that?" "Well, that's free." But like the challenge that those of us who are older have faced in just getting access to the information and the ideas. And I just think hyperlinks are so powerful. They're also dangerous today, right? Because with one click, your device can be hacked. But for me, the why of this, yeah, it's not to just to help the Silicon Valley tech bros, ascend to fascist power. It's to try to hang out with people that were smarter than me and just interested in things that they want to share, and then benefiting from that serendipitous fountain of ideas and links, because my life has been changed professionally for sure, and then just personally by the relationships. I think Edward, you're in Maine, right? I mean, Alice Barr, Cheryl Oakes, Bob Sprankle, these people changed my life, and I connected with them primarily through Twitter. So that kind of humanizing relationship connection, but also those ideas that can really just be phenomenal. Because like Ralph was talking about the book Nexus, and I think Cynthia's going to read it. Like that can change Cynthia's life. And anyway, I could go on about that.
I think it's just that we're at this really horrible moment. And that's the main issue, right? Like, look what's happened. Look at, we're part of this information warfare. Look at what happened with Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, and so it gets tainted in
But
a sense, right?
building community is important, and I think that's why we've seen people try to be refugees from platforms. I'm on a platform called Spoutable, which is quite small, but it's quite progressive. but we're trying to find our people and we're trying to build community. And I think that
Mm.
intersecting with good ideas, but finding our community online and networking, and then not being attacked and doxxed and
Mm.
horrifically you know treated.
Yeah.
One of the ideas that I think Harari talks about a little bit, but it also goes back to Nicholas Carr and the Shallows and some things like that, is the, like you were mentioning about and Diane, you were kind of mentioning also, it's about this kind of desire to at least know what's going on. And there's always, I think, and most of you have probably thought through this for yourselves, but there's sort of like this tension between dealing with something with new information, with new opportunities, with new tech, and then actually being able to think about them, right? And you can't, it's sort of like they're almost, it's like the difference between writing and editing. You can't really do both at once. If you're, as long as you're, you have the fire hose blasting into your face of new information, it, then you're really, the any time that you would spend actually reflecting on it, thinking about it, being critical about it, is just being consumed by the amount of other new information that you're trying to take in because of the impetus to try to stay on top of it. Whether it's software platforms or AI now or whatever else. So I think, because I think, as I'm thinking about this conversation about trying to find community, it's like trying to find places where you can drill down. That's what Nicholas Carr was saying in The Shallows, we don't get to do anymore because we're always moving across at the surface and we're not really taking the time. And our students, my experience is that our students are also like really struggling with this because there's so little built-in reward for drilling down and thinking carefully and kind of arguing pros and cons. So
Mhm. Who was that author that you just mentioned?
oh, I'm about a fourth of the way through Nexus by
Okay,
Yuval
that's Nexus.
Harari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're recommending
And
that
then
one.
and then the other one is Nicholas Carr's book, The Shallows, which
Okay.
is, God, that's got to be about 15 years old now, I think is when it's from. But it was a very kind of like you're saying about, it was very mind changing for me to think about, and that's what Harari's talking about too, is this tension between information and careful thought, or what he's laying out in Nexus is the relationship between information and truth. Because we're in a communication culture that is so addicted to information as the thing that's valuable, not truth, which is a lot of why we're where we are,
Well, and the way that it's being weaponized, I mean, that's my issue is, things are happening that we sort of only said might happen, and it seems to have happened faster than I felt it might happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'll publicly admit that I spun up a Truth Social account and I got back on Twitter in part because I felt as a media literacy teacher, I wanted to have greater insight into what was happening in that community. And like literally the post button on Truth Social is post your truth. And as it's going up, it's posting your truth. I mean, it's so nihilistic. So there's so much going on. But I think those points, Ralph, are so well taken that like the depth of thought and the opportunity to also to be slow. I read
Mhm.
Carl Honre's book In Praise of Slowness. He has a TED talk about that a number of years ago. It started with the slow food movement, I think in Italy or France. But like I love to go fast with some things, right? Speed of creativity, baby. That's my blog. But man, you got to slow down and process and this light touch of and the fire hose, all of that you talked about, Ralph. That's why I mentioned Discord. I was sharing that my wife is a science fiction fan, and she's discovered a local author in Raleigh who's called her series is called The Lady Astronaut, and it's historical fiction. But she's about to join a book study that's facilitated in Discord, and that kind of threaded discussion where like, okay, chapter one, and it can be slow. It's not just like this feed of fast stuff, and maybe that's something here in the Media Ed Club, whether it's a book study, I've toyed with the idea of spinning up a Discord, in part because I want to play with it and learn myself. But that is what I want, is the more thoughtful, deliberative, not just 140 character quick interactions of ideas.
Yeah, and I think for people who have ADHD, for example, and I suspect that I do, it makes it even harder because you know, the stuff is coming in like 3 times as fast and you can't sort of separate it out. Your brain doesn't want you to, you know, is not working that way. And I think we have a lot of people who, I don't know what the percentage of people have ADHD, but anyway, yeah. Wow, this has been so useful for me. I want to
Well,
thank you.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that it is. I'm going to have to actually go to my class, but I want to encourage everybody to visit the Media Education Lab website, get involved in the forum that's happening this weekend on Friday and Saturday. Let's plug into the community. There is so much going on. There is so much craziness. And I think that 2025 is going to be a year of a lot of chaos and a lot of, disturbing news in the news feed. But the opportunity that we have to connect with each other, to be able to learn together, to be inspired by each other, just to get books, like book recommendations, right? There's a way that our lives are changed. So I want to thank each of you for taking the time for coming. And if you've got ideas of what we should do in the future, we're just going to kind of keep the next couple months planned. And then to sort of see where it goes. But this community is wonderful. I value this tribe so much. So many people that have contributed in the past. And I think we just want to continue to invite others because the media literacy Mardi Gras float is one I'm going to be staying on for life. And maybe New Orleans, I want to make, I'm not trying to make a New Orleans analogy, but like that's a parade float. That's the tribe that I know I want to continue to hang out with because I'm inspired by you and I'm energized, and that's important. So
Well, thank you, Wes, for your work on this.
absolutely. Well, everyone have a wonderful January 2025, start of the semester, and we'll hope to see you all in a month in February.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.